Um, Hello. Can everyone hear me? Are we all good?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I guess I'm going to kind of show my work within the last few years and maybe talk a bit about my technique and also how my ideas have been kind of changing, and I'm still trying to kind of figure out what direction I want to take my art. Let's see. So I guess first, I'll show a selection of drawings that were for my thesis for MICA. I graduated with a BFA in drawing in 2018. And so I had created a series of glitch drawings like this one. So this is drawn in colored pencil in 2017. And the source for this was actually from a panoramic photo that I took, and it was a mistake, like somebody got caught in the image, and I was very inspired by that. I was kind of caught by this image, and I kind of ran with it and thought about, the way that images and information is distorted. So my thesis was essentially about the overwhelming influx of information available today through technology, and more specifically, the frustration associated with navigating that information in order to find truth within a mass of fiction and bias. And so if you go to the next slide, I kind of played around with different ways of, process in order to achieve the final drawings. That included screen printing and taking my work in and out of the computer and playing with different elements in that sense. And then towards the end, I got kind of interested in working more from life rather than looking on a screen or looking at a photo, because I wanted it to come more from myself. I wanted to challenge myself to kind of create the glitches myself as an artist. So this piece called Conversations with Myself was made over the course of 4 months. I was staring at myself through a webcam. So the picture was kind of blurry and pixelated, but it still reacted to the time of day, the light and shadow, what outfit I was wearing or makeup, whatnot. And so it was very tedious. It felt, kind of frustrating to work through, but I eventually did it, and this is the result. I kind of tried to play with different angles. It's predominantly colored pencil, but I tried to work in some acrylic and pastel to just try and play with how I can use different materials. If you go to the next one, my next kind of selection is more about the Duralar. I did use the Duralar for my glitch work, and it's expanded to be helpful in multiple areas. I find that I do love working with transparency, and I do like the Duralar as a surface, so I'm continuously exploring how this semi-transparent surface can be utilized. So if you go to the next slide, this is static one. In order to create the figure, I first sketched the drawing just in pencil, and I broke it down using a grid structure, and then I laid the Duralar on top and created a more refined version in colored pencil. And so it's pretty straightforward. It's all in one layer just on the top. And then if you go to the next slide, with static 2, I kind of created a zoomed in area where you can see I started utilizing both sides of the Duralar. I realized I could use acrylic to create those bars in the back that go through the figure. And then I used the colored pencil and graphite on top. So that way the elements of the legs kind of showed through, but it still has that like fill. I didn't have to worry about the acrylic and the graphite clashing. And then if you go to the next slide. So this drawing is called Florbella. It happened by accident entirely. I was drawing with a professor of mine. She had her studio open to students and to the public on Saturday mornings, and I would go every Saturday morning, I think for the whole semester, but this drawing in particular was 8 weeks from life. So I did the drawing first just on paper, and since everyone else was painting, I kind of had some extra time, so I grabbed some Duralar and I would just move the paper around, flip both sides, and kind of experiment with drawing over certain areas, creating expressive marks, or, rendering what I already had. So if you go to the next slide, you can see the top left is the original, like the final composition that I chose. And then surrounded are some variants of me just trying to move it around and see what I liked. And in the bottom right is the original, just the drawing from life straight up. Okay, and let's see, next slide. I think after Florbella, I really got interested in the idea of working with multiple layers, and then also trying to work with working from life, but then also what inspired my interest in playing with distortion and images that looked like they were touched by a computer. So that led to Static 3. I have mixed feelings about this one as an image. It's kind of strange, but you can see the drawing on the right is the original drawing from life, which I did in a class that I never finished. And so I thought I would take a larger sheet of Duralar and then kind of create a distorted body, an impossible body made through my own image that kind of completed what this original drawing was, just to see what I could do with it. So this was, the final drawing is all done from life and memory of like maybe what other glitched kind of material that I used or other ways that I would abstract the figure in the past. So you go to the next one. These are also unfinished drawings that I decided to finish with the use of Duralar. And what I wanted to do with these was to make them interactive so that the viewer could feel free to touch them and move them around as they wished. I completed these during my summer residency in Gilbertsville with the Gilbertsville Expressive Movement in upstate New York. And at my final show, it was like an open studio event, so I invited anyone from the community to come up to these drawings and kind of flip them around and see what they could get. In the bottom one with my friend Christine, you can kind of see the different markers on each corner. And that was kind of showing like different things that I found or thought were interesting, but then I encouraged people to kind of play with it themselves and just see if there is anything that they could do with them. And it's, again, like very early stages. I feel like trying to play with Duralar, it's like there's a lot you can do. So this is a lot of like testing and trying to see what I like. Next. So another advantage of Duralar is the ability to kind of make something new or to transform something that I think kind of changed. So Flower Boy was the original drawing from 2016, and it was supposed to represent this person I knew at that time when we were close. And then Reciprocation was kind of my response to how that relationship changed. And I think my drawing ability got better, and then also my perception of this person was more accurate and maybe like a bit darker. And so it felt rewarding to take my work and to transform it visually, as it also kind of transformed like my own perception of this person and what they meant to me. And if you go to the next slide, you can see the background layer. The graphite kind of hides the color, but it's very rich, and I wanted to make it have that drama. So I normally I'm delicate with my use of colored pencil, but this was very rich. Okay, so if you go to the next slide. This is more recent, so I think something you'll find with my work more recently in this last year, I'm trying to be more playful. In my residency programs, I've been having discussions about my sketchbook work and kind of like my doodles and that sort of thing. And I think with my sketchbook work, I tap into my childhood nostalgia, painful memories, visual note-taking, and addressing scale and space in a way that maybe some of my other work lacks. And so I'm slowly trying to seep it in. Right now, you see mostly just goofy characters, so I understand maybe that doesn't make a lot of sense. But this is actually still in New Hope right now. It's in a little space called Tiny Portals. It's part of the New Hope Art Center. My friend Ivia Yavello set it up. You might have seen her in previous meetings here. But this is a portrait of her. It's multi-layered, and then I hand-drawn and cut characters on Duralar to interact with her as if she were daydreaming. So this is the same drawing, but I showed how the Duralar would look if it were flipped. And if you go to the next slide, you can see that I designed that diamond grid to kind of mimic the space that it was set in. And then I created little characters just to kind of interact with the space around her to kind of move about, just see what I could do with it. And then on the right of the slide, you can see the two layers that make up that drawing. And if you go to the next, I believe it is, oh yes. Oh, I saw the comment. I do get comments a lot about Francis Bacon, so thank you. I definitely see that connection. Oh, and then here are two drawings that were in Arch Enemy Arts in Philadelphia. So they are multi-layered drawings with Duralar. The left is one, it's actually I copied the drawing, I made the drawing twice. So the one where, oh no, my doodles, that one of Elizabeth, I redrew that drawing and then made it the background of the drawing on the left. And I'm just trying to, again, like kind of explore how maybe I can create a portraiture that's realistic, but also complex. And then the right, I just wanted to have fun with it. I think I'm